All right, let's do the Opie stuff, shall we? I know that phone call put us a little behind the eight ball on the Opie stuff, but Opie shit on Jim Norton. That's the first one here.
All right.
And then the next one, Opie's going to lie about Howard Stern, which he loves doing. One of Opie's favorite things, even back from the Opie and Anthony days, is he loved acting like Howard Stern and him were in this great feud. And many people from the Opie and Anthony show have shared the story that only Opie thought that was a feud. Howard didn't see it as a feud. The other people on the Opie and Anthony show didn't see it as a feud. Only Opie was delusional enough to think he was in this big war with Howard, or that Howard thought about him all the time, or anything like that. In reality,
well, at least somebody was then.
In reality, what happened with O&A was very simple. They worked for the same company as Howard Stern. They would be the afternoons when he would be in the mornings in syndication. And Opie and Anthony would recklessly shit on Howard Stern all the time. And I'm a bigger O&A fan than a Stern fan. But fair is fair. Opie and Anthony shit on him constantly. They worked for the same company. Howard was the morning show. And if you're a corporation and Howard Stern is the highest generating star that you have, and somebody's shitting on him in your company, you're going to tell them to shut the fuck up.
Yep.
You're not going to let them get away with that. So Opie kind of picked this fight with Howard, and then Howard finally addressed them and basically told the company, shut them the fuck up. Tell them to shut the fuck up instead of doing it on the air. And they were like, oh, Howard's supposed to be a big man and he's supposed to handle everything on air. Yeah, he doesn't want to shoot inside the tent.
He doesn't want to burn that show because that doesn't help him at all.
So here's Opie first talking about, now this is called This Could Get Uggy. I think he forgot the L. Again, Mr. I'm not going to talk about O&A in 2023 proceeds to
rehash O&A.
There you go. Hell of a logo.
I just got $50. That means...
you can comb your hair?
All right, that means it could be ugly. You know what? But you're giving me money. I put you on the big screen cold. Let's do this. $50.
Do you know how worried he is about trolls, that he's worried about putting a $50 super chat on the screen cold? He's like, this could get ugly. Why? I wouldn't think that. If someone gave our show $50, I'd be like, let's see what this beautiful, wonderful, supportive listener has to say.
We'll insult ourselves with your money.
Thanks, Hope. I'm sub to Anthony's Compound Media, and I figure I ought to...
That's a good idea to be sub to Anthony's Compound Media. You should be subscribed to and watch the Steel Toe Show under the extras section in collections. The first ever Steel Toe Show, which Compound Media called us yesterday. Eric said they're very happy with how it's gone and will be working together again
in the future.
Beautiful.
Send you some love too. Miss you guys on the air, man. Wow, that is very nice of you, Carl. I greatly appreciate that.
Good.
Okay.
That's how it should be, to be honest with you. It's too bad the whole thing went sideways, but that's what it should be right there.
Yeah.
Support me, support Anthony.
There you go, right? Good job. Opie's turning over a new leaf. Support all of us. That show was great.
Support who you love. Everyone just do what you want.
It's too bad it fell apart the way it did. Opie's having a nice moment. That's fantastic. There's 30 seconds left. There's no way he can fuck this up.
I mean, unless he's like some sort of weird, like a junkie situation, and this was his moment of clarity, and he's going to dive back into the old behavior.
Johnny, I mean, clearly he's saying, subscribe to Anthony, watch my show, enjoy all of it.
I'm saying that's what it looks like, but we got time.
Perfect.
I know.
Should be right there. Support me, support Anthony. Don't support Jimmy.
God damn it. You were that fucking close, you little red-haired twat. You almost had it.
Who cares if people support Jimmy? He's funnier than you.
Don't support Jimmy. He's a fucking worm. But
damn it. It was so nice for a minute. There was no toxicity in the air. Support Anthony, support me. That's wonderful. Fuck Jimmy. Anthony has shit on you way harder than Jimmy has.
Yeah, Jimmy probably doesn't even really think about you.
Oh, man.
This is what it should have been. Sadly, it's not that. But thank you. I'll keep you up there. Thank you, Carl.
It is for everyone but you.
You're right, Opie. It should have been different. Like, maybe after your contract was up, you should have left SiriusXM, and you and Anthony and Jimmy should have started a podcast with a Patreon and all that shit. Do you know how fucking bad those three would be killing on, like, YouTube? Well, they probably couldn't. They could do YouTube. They could do a show like we do on YouTube. They could get away with shit. Or, like, do a Patreon show or something like that. They would be destroying everyone except Rogan. in this whole world.
Yeah, but he would only be able to do that if he just kind of sat in the back.
Yeah, true.
Greatly appreciate. Wow, $50. Dude, you just paid for my gas out east tonight. That's what I think when I make pocket money. I'm like, God, this guy just paid for our gas.
Does that burn me? I don't know. When I'm watching somebody...
Now, I want to point this out before you get going. He's a multimillionaire. Mm-hmm. I didn't know his name was Opie Husenstein. Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, the one way to stay a millionaire is round up a few shekels for the daily expenses.
Oh my God. Did he? He's like, oh man, I get $50. That's amazing. I pay for my gas. Look, man, we're allowed to get excited about $50. We're nobodies. We're running a business that pretty much runs it month to month. When you're a multimillionaire, I think the $50. Look, say thank you. That's very nice to be thankful. That's very nice of you. But holy shit, Ope. Like that was, I feel like it's a little bit too much.
I got the bills to pay. I need those tips.
All right, well, here we go. This now is Opie talking about the bit that put us on Howard Stern's radar. I am willing to bet that whatever he's about to say is a lie. Because, again, what put Opie and Anthony on Howard Stern's radar was they were working for the same company, Infinity Broadcasting.
And they were trashing him.
Howard Stern was the biggest star in the world by far in radio. And Opie and Anthony would shit on him. And they'd shit on him hard. And Howard would call the bosses in. And he goes, hey, tell those fucking idiots to shut up. We're playing for the same team. And then the bosses made Opie and Anthony shut up about Howard. And they bitched about it. But it's like, you picked a fight with Howard Stern. He used the, things in his power to shut you up. And then you got pissy about it. It's like, you were working on the same team. How great of a gig is that? It could have been Howard Stern, Opie and Anthony. Howard's talking up the O&A show. Make sure you listen to them in the afternoons, the whole thing. Instead, you make an enemy out of the guy. I don't get it.
Could you tell me what was the first incident that put your show on Stern's hate list? I could end with this. I got to go. This story to this day infuriates me.
What's the worst part about it?
The fact that he didn't know who you were?
Yeah. I'm thinking maybe that this story is about to be a lie. That might be the most infuriating part.
Me and Anthony were working at WAF, the only station that really rocks. We were starting to make a name for ourselves. And there was a story in the paper. Going to get the details slightly off, so bear with me. But
no.
Gonna get the details slightly off. I'm pulling this out of my ass.
I'm gonna get the details slightly off, aka I'm about to lie.
There was a story in the paper where Jeopardy didn't have minority contestants. Okay, so we took that story and we ran with it, and we did a little skit where we basically did minority Jeopardy, and it was very edgy and probably something you really can't do these days.
Howard had been doing Black Jeopardy for a long time. Black Jeopardy is a bit Howard had done since the early 90s. I mean, WAAF was like 95, 96 for them.
It's really weird.
Wait a minute. Is he about to accuse Howard of ripping off Black Jeopardy from O&A?
I don't know. That would be a fucking stretch. I didn't see that one coming out the gate.
Oh, boy. Let's see.
I was just going to say it's kind of weird how he's just like, oh, and everything with Anthony is always the race shit. And then when you're talking about what happened, oh, so we did this racial bit. Like, oh, so it wasn't you.
But it was based on a story in the newspaper. Somehow, Howard was being syndicated to BCN, our competition up there. Somehow, I guess it was his fans, because I think our fans used to do the same shit for us, so I would assume it was one of his fans. Said, Howard, these guys up there at this radio station, WAF, the only station that really rocks, is ripping you off.
Oh, okay. So, the Black Jeopardy thing. Okay. I don't know. I feel like that's pretty fair game. Like, you see a story in the newspaper, your riff leads to like a minority Jeopardy thing. That's not like, Howard doesn't own that.
Yeah.
And they sent him our bit. Our bit wasn't based, because then we learned, and maybe we even knew. I honestly don't know, because
you grew up listening to Howard. You fucking knew. Don't lie.
It's hard for people to believe this, but I really wasn't a Howard Stern fan. Did I listen to him from time to time, and was I entertained from time to time? Yes.
That's being a fan. Listen, Johnny, I'm not a Vikings fan.
Right.
Do I watch the games from time to time? Yeah. Am I really entertained and do I root for them? Of course. But I'm not a fan.
I'm not a baseball fan. Do I own several pieces of memorabilia totaling over $200,000? Yeah, but I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a regular listener.
You
so he was doing a bit called Black Jeopardy. We weren't ripping him off. Our bit was based on a story that was that was very current and local and in the paper about these minority Jeopardy, these contestants that were minorities that just couldn't get on Jeopardy.
Can I make a quartering comparison with Opie?
Yeah.
And it's amazing because Opie actually has a long background in broadcasting. Remarkably boring, meandering way of talking about things. I see now why his clips are only a minute and a half long.
Because that's all the meat on the bone.
Yeah.
Even then, there's a lot of extra bone.
This reminds me of like when a college girl tells you a story. Like my friend Megan, you know Megan, she's the one that went on vacation last week to Paris. And remember in Paris when they had that shooting a while ago? That was really crazy when they shot that newspaper. Well, anyway, Megan, she was telling me the other day that her friend Josie's the one that works at Starbucks, not the one that works at Caribou. That's Emily. Josie is the one who told her that John was actually at the bar the other day. Not the bar that's down the street from the press, but the other one that's kind of closer to the red carpet. That one. They were... Actually, that's
God, it's Charlie Hebdo. That's the one who got shot in France.
Yeah. That's Opie telling a story.
He got it. He got the bit. And then he ripped into us and basically said, there's these guys up there in Boston ripping me off, Rob. And you know the bit he's done a million dumb times to the point no one really believes him anymore. And
I'm telling you right now, I think Opie might be fucking delusional and making this up because I've been an O&A fan. I've heard all the stories they've told about Stern. I've never heard this one in my life. Anthony's never told this one. Well, Jimmy wasn't there, but Opie's never told this story. And Opie has a history of lying. Opie has a history of making shit up. He, to this day, tells people that Howard Stern talked about his dead father on the Howard Stern show with Dice.
But that never happened.
It never happened.
I don't even remember Dice being on Stern.
Right. He's convinced it did. Well, Dice was on Stern quite a bit. Yeah. But that never happened. And Opie still clings to that to this day, and he hates Howard Stern for it because he talked about his dad. He never talked about his dad. Well, now Opie's coming up with this story that they did a bit about Jeopardy, and then Howard went on his show and talked about how these two guys in Boston are ripping off Black Jeopardy. Please, I would love to hear the audio of that somewhere of Howard ripping. Again, I think he just makes this shit up to grow his own legend.
But for who?
Opie definitely thought about Howard a hell of a lot more than Howard ever thought about Opie.
I think Opie thinks a lot about a lot of other people and how they're not thinking about Opie.
Right.
Everyone at our radio station, this was before me and Anthony were huge, but we were definitely starting to make a name for ourselves up there. We had this program director. I won't mention him by name. He's taken enough abuse over the years. The program director, he grabs me. They were always grabbing me because I was perceived as this stupid boss.
By the way, Anthony has told this story numerous times. Opie will tell stories as though the bosses like screamed at him and grabbed him and this and that. They didn't. Anthony said the bosses would just say, hey, could you not do that? And then Opie would go on the air and go, the bosses were screaming at us today. And Anthony's like, no, they
not really
weren't. You chugged that coffee.
He grabs me. He goes, Howard's talking about you guys. I'm like, I know. Isn't this great? Because that's what you want. If you have enough confidence in your show and a much bigger show's talking about you, that's awesome.
Then why don't you fucking listen to yourself? Did you just hear what you said?
Opie, we have a way bigger show than you.
And we talk about you all the time.
We talk about you all the time. It's a tribute.
We just want to thank you.
It's just a tribute, Opie. That's all it is. We have a way bigger, like massive audience compared to you. I mean, it's a small audience compared to the internet, but compared to you, it's huge. You should be taking it as a compliment.
Because me and Anthony knew we could handle ourselves. We knew if we're getting a lot of attention from a bigger show, that's going to make people tune in our show. And we knew our content was good enough where we could turn some of these people onto our show.
I agree with him 100%. The only problem is he's lying and this never happened.
And he certainly never bothered to realize this at any other point in his career.
This is like Opie wrote a TV show that's full of fictional characters, but the lessons he's teaching on the show are good.
It's
like,
based off a true Opie.
Don Draper gives some good advice in Mad Men. He never follows it, but he gives some good advice. But Don Draper's not a real person.
That's how it used to work in this business. So I'm like, isn't this great? This is what you hope for, to grow an audience. Because no, this isn't good at all. This is not good at all. He was in a complete panic that Howard Stern was talking about us. Because then we wanted to like just go all in with it and like, hey, if he's talking about us, let's do more of this. Screw it. Let's go.
Again, all of it good advice. The only problem is none of this ever happened.
And again, you should maybe take that advice now.
You got on Howard's radar because you were shitting on him when you worked at the same company, Opie.
This is not good. This is not good. And then he started demanding that me and Anthony stop talking about the incident of this Minority Jeopardy thing that got on Howard Stern's radar and not mention his name anymore because he couldn't handle it. He's like, this is not good. And I'm like, you're crazy. I always knew more than the program directors, and I know that's going to sound very cocky, but it's the truth. And I would sit there going, oh, my God, why are you making this so damn hard?
It is a really boring story. Like, I'm really bored by Opie.
I'm sorry. How does he make you stop talking about it if you guys are not part of the same company?
This is before they're part of the same company.
Yeah, but he said he made him stop talking about it. He made us stop
the program director, because the program director thought it was a bad idea. Now, first of all, you're splitting too many hairs. He's lying.
Yeah.
This never happened.
This is perfect for us. I don't know how that, I think it just sort of
Corndiff sent him a drooling face emoji because he's so fucking bored.
faded away, and we got into other bits and other problems up there, to be honest. I don't remember how it kind of faded away, but we never listened to this program director, so I would assume that we continue to find other ways to be just annoying towards Howard. But Howard Stern said almost exactly, these guys are ripping me off up there in Boston. We're going to keep our eyes on them. And I'm like, thank you. And then, the rest is history, because then we moved to New York, and boy, did he get to know who we were.
Yeah, he did. He made you shut the fuck up when you started shitting on him. I mean,
well, to be fair, man, he knew who Anthony was.
Yeah, Anthony was on his show once. But like, look, I liked the Opie and Anthony show more than I liked the Howard Stern show. But we're not going to sit here and pretend that was a competition, are we? Like, Howard Stern, Opie and Anthony. Like, Opie and Anthony may have been a lot more successful than a lot of the shows on the radio, but they were nowhere close to Howard Stern.
Yeah, I don't think they hit that level
ever.
How many stories about their rise to fame did they make a movie of?
None. Zero. Yeah, Veldrain says, wow, Opie, that's insane.
He should start titling his clips that way.
He is a god-awful storyteller.